गोवर्धन पर्वत जमुना तीरा, गोवर्धन पर्वत जमुना तीरा, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, कुसुम सरोवर मानस गंगा, कालिंद नंदिनी विपुल तरंगा, कुसुम सरोवर मानस गंगा, कालिंद नंदिनी विपुल तरंगा, वंशीवट गोकुल धीर समीरा, वंशीवट गोकुल धीर समीरा, वृंदावन तारु लतिक पनीरा, वृंदावन तारु लतिक पनीरा, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, खग मृग कूला मलय पतास, मयूर भ्रमर मुरली विलास, खग मृग कूला मलय पतास, मयूर भ्रमर मुरली विलास, वेणु श्रृंगपाद चिन मृगमाला, वेणु श्रृंगपाद चिन मृगमाला, वसंत शशांक शंख करताल, वसंत शशांक शंख करताल, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, युगल विलासे अनुकूल जानी, लीला विलासे उदीपक मानी, युगल विलासे अनुकूल जानी, लीला विलासे उदीपक मानी, सब छोड़ता कहीं नहीं जाऊं, सब छोड़ता कहीं नहीं जाऊं, सब छोड़ता प्राण हराऊं, सब छोड़ता प्राण हराऊं, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, भक्ति विनोद कहे सुन काना, तू उदीपक हमारा प्राण, भक्ति विनोद कहे सुन काना, तू उदीपक हमारा प्राण, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा, गोवर्धन पर्वत जमुना तीरा, गोवर्धन पर्वत जमुना तीरा, राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीरा। Hare Krishna. Translation: The cottage in the grove on the banks of Radha Kunda, the great Govardhan Hill, the banks of the Yamuna, Kusuma Sarovara, Manasa Ganga, the daughter of Kalindi the Yamuna, with her many waves, the Vamsivata, Gokula, Dhira Samira, the trees and creepers and reeds of Vrindavan, the different varieties of colorful birds, the deer, the cooling breeze of the Malaya mountains, the peacocks, the bumblebees, the pastimes with the flute itself, the buffalo horn bugle, the footprints of cows in the dust of Raja, the rows of blackish rain clouds, springtime, the moon, the conch shell, and the kartalas. All these I know to be very conductive for the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I recognize in them a transcendental stimulus for making the Lord's charming pastimes more intense. I refuse to go anywhere if their stimuli to devotional service is not there, for to abandon them is to abandon life itself. Bhakti Vinoda says, please hear me, O Kana, your entourage and paraphernalia stimulate remembrance of you and are the very source of my life. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the seva. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Welcome back. So we offer our prayers to our Guru Parampara, seeking their mercy and blessings. Hare Krishna. Hope everybody can hear me, right? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Papa Sindhu Vyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shrivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur Krishe Namaha. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisance unto you. Krishna Varnam Pisha Krishnam Sangha Pangostra Parshidam Yagna hi Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Su Medhasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnik Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharnyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayad Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Govinda Mari Purusham Tamam Bhajami. So last weekend we did lesson 2, 3, and 4. And this weekend we'll do lesson 5, 6, and 7. So before I begin lesson 5 today, let's hear the recapping of lesson 4. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. With such a divine prayer by Samta Mataji, we Prabhuji thought momentarily we are situated at Braj with such a great mood. Yes, I'm here giving synopsis of our previous lesson from Sri Jaiva Dharma as we are going through. Yes, His Grace Charachandra Prabhuji last week completed with chapter 3 and lesson 4 by the soul's naimittic dharma is to be relinquished. Why this naimittic dharma is to be relinquished? Because basically it is eternal, it is temporary, and it is mixed with objectionable elements. It includes the two themes, that is, the prime necessity of renouncing all illusory material designations in search of the absolute, and the second theme, that is, the relationship between Varnashram Dharma and Jaiva Dharma. So up till now, in Sri Jaiva Dharma, we are well versed with two characters. One is Babaji Sannyasi, and the second one was Mayavadi Sannyasi, and who is being getting initiated by Babaji as Vaishnav Das. So the first part, that is the prime necessity of renouncing all illusory material designations in search of the absolute. It includes the themes like, while chanting the holy name, the saintly sannyasi had a visual realization of the spiritual dham, that is Mayapur. So this Mayavadi sannyasi, he saw among others, it was just due to the mercy of Babaji sannyasi that this Mayavadi sannyasi, he could momentarily realize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, what we can say, as mercy and can have darshan. He saw among others Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, as well as Indra, who were glorifying Lord Chaitanya's holy names and Sri Mayapur Dham. So inspired with this, next day he threw away his ekdanda in water, as was having the legacy of Mayavadi philosophy. Then he placed tulsi beads around his neck and just behaved as Vaishnav sannyas, put tilak, forehead, and chanted the holy name happily and danced. So looking into this, so Babaji Sannyasi initiated this Mayavadi Sannyasi as Vaishnav Das. So Vaishnav Das is now renounced and yes, accepted as good as Vaishnava philosophy, and he humbly offered his obeisances to his guru and all assembled Vaishnavas. Then Babaji declared that Vaishnav Das, his um, follower, that will answer the questions which were asked by the visitor, who was again the Brahmana, but um, was having the cult from Muslims, and he was well versed with Urdu language, and he was influenced with Muslim king, but was obviously born and brought up in Brahmana family. And Babaji says that the questions which are asked by this Brahmana or this visitor will be answered by Vaishnav Das. And so Vaishnav Das begins explaining the fundamentals of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Okay, in that, he explains about Vaidhi and Raga Nuga Bhakti, and unless and until one is purified by Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, one should not indulge into Raga Nuga Bhakti. And this conditioned soul, how is under the influence of the conception of I and mine, and the three broad categories of the soul's nature and the Vedanta philosophy that is being explained by Bhagavad Gita. So it is being explained that how this now just got into that Vaishnav Das, how this particular sannyasi, he temporarily, momentarily visualizes Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Indra, how they are glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we all know, yes, Prabhuji has also said Lord Chaitanya himself is Krishna, and how those are glorifying Lord Chaitanya. Yes. So with this particular nectar of holy name, everyone gets purified. And yes, the saintly sannyasi fell unconscious for a moment and realized that he should accept this Vaishnava philosophy. And next day, he accepted um, Babaji as his guru, and Babaji chanted the holy name and noticed this particular transformation and initiated him as the renunciate from this Vaishnava category. And this Mayavadi sannyasi has been transformed into Vaishnava sannyasi with the touch of Babaji. Yes, rolling on the ground, he said, today he has attained the dust of the Vaishnava's feet, and now his life is of grand success. He says, and this visitor, the next visitor was from Shantipur. He was able to read and write Urdu, was influenced by this Muslim kings, and was born and brought up in Brahmana family, was frustrated with this worldly pleasure, and he comes out with a doubt that how this Brahminical culture, it has been different from Vaishnava Dharma. Okay, so as we know that Brahmanas, they do pray with Gayatri mantra, but this Gayatri mantra, in case of Vaishnava Dharma, as we know, for second initiation, Gayatri mantra we do follow. So, so as to answer this particular question, so Vaishnav Das explains to this visitor about Vaidhi and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Says that unless and until one gets purified from the influence of Maya, one should not give up Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Okay. Because otherwise, once is not purified, as we are contaminated with this worldly pleasure under the influence of Maya, and so we should not go into Raga Nuga Bhakti in this particular path. Yes, there are few tika or commentaries Prabhuji also explained well. Maybe I will not be able to explain, so we'll skip this. The conditioned soul is under the impression about I and mine, and yes, explains about the three broad categories of the soul's nature and the Vedanta philosophy as explained by Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Raganuga Bhakti, as we see in Enuri, Nectar of Devotion, as well as Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, yes, it is first which is required on this particular path, on the spiritual path. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is recommended, and raga nuga sadhana bhakti, it will then be followed. So as we do not have that spontaneous attraction and love so as to serve the Lord, so one should first go into Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, as Prabhuji explained. Yes, there are 64 angas of performing this Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. At least 5 angas, those are important, and by following these ways, one can lead on this particular path. And once one gets purified, then can follow this Raganugamar. So this particular explanation, it has been given. And also we have learned in Sri Madhuri Kadambini also, that particular wine, we have seen all the time sadhu sangha, it has been required. And here that this particular auspiciousness to the soul, it has been brought with sadhu sangha, that has been possible. Otherwise one cannot attain this Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. One needs the mercy and compassion of sadhus and Lord Krishna, and so that this confidential devotees with respect to this Vedic scriptures, one gets purified in this, and one's embodied soul gets purified in this body. So yes, it is the conditioned soul is under the bodily conception of I and mine. Here it has been explained that in this world of hatred and dualities, we are identified with the 3 ways, like Sharirik, Samajik, as well as Naitik. And in this sansar, we cannot escape ourselves from birth, death, old age, disease, and karmic reactions. So with this guna and karma, one is going to suffer from 8.4 million lives in different universes, 14 planetary systems that there, that has been explained. So as per Vedanta philosophy, 3 categories of the soul's nature. One is karma kand, that is fruity work. Then is jnana kand, and next is upasana kand. And accordingly, there are 3 categories of embodied souls as per these tendencies: karma kandi, gyan kandi, and upasana kandi. So these do constitute Vedic Dharma, and these rules of religions cannot be transgressed without committing the sinful acts. Hence, this 3 class of people do follow the Vedic injunctions. So, as per Bhagavad Gita, this Vedant philosophy, it is been explained, and as per Yoga ladder, so Bhakti Yoga is the most supreme. Before that is Jnana Yoga, then is before to Jnana Yoga, it is Karma Yoga, and before to that is Karma Kand. So Bhakti Yoga is the most supreme as compared to Karma Kand. Yes, as per philosophy, as per Bhagavad Gita, we have learned this. Yes, how this Naimitya Dharma is to be relinquished. And now in this lesson, next lesson, His Grace Charuchandra Prabhuji will explain about how Vaishnav Dharma is a Nitya Dharma, the most supreme. Hare Krishna. Over.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Krishna Prabhupada. I don't know exactly what to tell you, how to tell you. I don't want to alarm you, but I'm not feeling too good today. I'm having repeated vomiting, so I may have to go off, okay, in between, but hopefully by the grace of the Lord, I might be able to complete the class today.
Prabhuji, can you take rest, Prabhu, if you can
No,
request
I'm
your
taking lemon water.
Prabhuji, you should take
I'm
rest,
taking
Prabhu, because you have to talk for 2 hours.
lemon water. No, thank you, Prabhuji. I'm going to try, okay? Hare Krishna. So let me share my screen with you. So, like I said, today we will do this weekend we will do lesson 5, 6, and 7 shown here. Part of chapter 3 is lesson 5, which is what we'll do right now. Tomorrow we will do lesson 6, and then following day with lesson 7. So lesson 5, 6, and 7. We will also understand the difference between Vaishnava Dharma. Actually, Vaishnava Dharma is same as Nitya Dharma. But how this Vaishnava Dharma or Nitya Dharma is different from Naimittika Dharma, which is temporary, in the context of Varnashram system, that we will try to understand from this lesson. Vaidhi Bhakti, that Mataji just recapped, that we covered, is actually a Nitya Dharma, eternal Dharma, eternal duty of our soul, and is not a Naimittika Dharma or temporary. But the Varnashram system itself, in general, it is actually considered as a Naimittika Dharma. And how and why, that we are going to try to understand from this today's lesson. So as you can see, this chapter 3, we're doing in two lessons. Lesson 4 we did last weekend, and lesson 5, that is what we'll do today, and that is about the relationship between Varnashram Dharma and Jaiva Dharma. So in this slide, what you see here is the themes. There are 6 themes that I came up from this for this lesson. This is a part of chapter 3. So this book appears. So this is first theme is karma, vikarma, and akarma, and this has been very extensively discussed in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada throughout various purports that he has talked about. And I've sent you a full extensive review of this. And why I'm saying this thing, because to my horror, I cannot imagine that this book particularly misrepresents akarma as bad and inauspicious. So that is the reason I sent you that thing for proper understanding. And I have no idea why this book describes, and I'll read it to you here. It's on page 32. Inauspicious work is called papa, or sin, or vikarma, evil work. When one does not perform auspicious work, that is called akarma. Both of these are bad. See that? A gross error in that. Again, I'll read here. When one does not perform auspicious work, that is called akarma. And that is inauspicious and bad. I don't know why it says that. So we will talk about karma, vikarma, and akarma, and I'm going to present to you based on our understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Then the second theme is we will talk about again Nitya Karma. So karma itself is divided into 2 classes, Nitya Karma and Naimittika Karma. Work that we should do eternally for the satisfaction of our soul, that is Nitya Karma, whereas Naimittika Dharma is temporary, and Varnashram system falls in this category. Okay, so what is Varnashram system itself? That what Sri Vaishnava Das explains to this particular singer questioner. Remember, we discussed previous class that this visitor is a great singer and who was actually very, very familiar with the Muslim customs because he used to associate with the Muslim kings. But he was a born Brahmana, okay, and he had some misconception because that is the reason why he came here. Actually, he wanted to understand, and he was kind of confused about the duties of the Brahmana because he was a born Brahmana, and he was again sort of following, and he had some misunderstanding, misconceptions about being Brahmana. Brahmana is the best of the whole entire four Varnas, but he was kind of sharing the impressions of the Smarta Brahmanas. Smarta means typically these Brahmanas who believe that Brahmana being born is a sort of highest guna and highest fortune. So highest fortune, and that is the misconception that we are going to learn here. And so, what are the 12 Brahminical qualifications that we will go through that? And here, there is this Martha Brahmanas develop the false pride that they are the superior, but they don't realize that their duties as a Brahmana is temporary. Why temporary? Because in some birth they could be Brahmana, another birth they could be Shudra also. It is not necessarily so. It is all due to the particular birth that you have this particular guna. And Krishna himself says that these four varnas and four ashramas that he created, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam, that these four varnas and four ashrama for the human society that is created by me, by the Lord Shri Krishna, and based on not birth, but by guna and karma. Guna, karma, vibhagasha. They are divided based on the gunas and karmas, So there is the reason why these Brahminical, these Smarta Brahmanas feel they are too proud of that. That is not desirable. That is what we will say. In fact, Vaishnavas are superior, and Vaishnava duties are eternal duties of the soul. And that is the reason why Vaishnava Dharma is considered as the Nitya Dharma, eternal duties of the soul, and it is not temporary. Whereas Brahminical Brahmanas is a temporary duty that is based on a particular birth, so it's in a bodily relationship. It's given that. So now in this chapter, this lesson, we learn the identity of this particular singer who came with this question. And he was quoting the Dharma Shastras, Smriti Shastras, which says that Brahmanas are the best. But then he was confused about the duties of Brahmana and the Vaishnava Dharma. So what is the difference? That is what he wanted to know. So now here in this particular chapter lesson, part of lesson chapter 3, that we learn that his name is Sri Kalidas Lahiri. Kalidas Lahiri. Occasionally he is also being referred to as, in short, Lahiri Mahashay. The word Mahashaya is a respectable term used like honorable, like we say that, right? So here Mahashay is in that context is being referred to as, it's not just Mr. So-and-so, but so-and-so honorable personality. So Kalidas Lahiri is a born Brahmana, but he was confused, and he is the one who's asking questions. Okay, so we already saw that he accepted this Sri Vaishnava Das as a spiritual master, as recommended by Sri Premadas Babaji. So now, and so in the final theme is about the introduction of a new personality, and that personality's name is Madhav Das Babaji. He's also Babaji, okay, a sannyasi of high order. But we will see how he has fallen down. Actually, this Lahiri Mahashaya had rented his residence, and this Madhavdas Babaji is the owner of that property. So he had rented a room for him in that property. Okay, but then Lahiri Mahashaya one night discovered something unusual. This supposedly Babaji, a sannyasi, was having unusual relationship with a woman in the night, and that turns out, of course, that woman turns out to be his wife from a previous ashrama when he was in Grasta ashrama, but now he is in a sannyasa ashrama. So he's not supposed to associate even his wife, because he had given up. He is supposed to be renounced, but he was helpless. So then we hear Lahiri Mahashaya was really kind of amazed and confused. So he confronts Madhadas Babaji that what is this going on? So Madhadas then explained his misfortune. So we will see that. Okay. So this is the walkthrough of this today's lesson. And here in this slide, what we see here in this, so Lahiri Mahashaya is asking questions, right? So, and Vaishnadas Acharya, whom he accepted as his guru, spiritual master, is now beginning to enlighten this Lahiri Mahashaya, the singer, okay, the questioner. So these are, in this slide, you see there are two kinds of fruity work or karma, okay. One is auspicious, another is inauspicious. And then based on that is also, this is based on, because these karmas are rendered by our bodily senses and the mind, okay. And then there are three kinds of work that we will see. So the same slide, I'm going to focus on the left portion of it and then the right portion of it, as I generally do. So here, we're focusing on this fruitive karma, fruitive work. And again, I told you there are three kinds, right? Karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma is, of course, that which is being sanctioned by the Vedic injunctions. So you're strictly following Vedic injunctions. So obviously then the karma are actually the good deeds. That is desirable, that you ought to engage in good deeds. So that is called karma, right? But every action, there's a reaction. So karma, even though it is a good deeds, there's a good reaction. What is a good reaction? There's a reward that after this birth, actually, even in this, while during this life, you enjoy some material comforts, material qualities and things like that. But even after this life, you get to go to heavenly planets and you get to enjoy materially even greater extent, So that's a good karma. So for that good, to enjoy the reward, you still have to come back in this material world. There is no liberation from material existence. So while it is a good deed, but it has a reaction, good reaction. But nonetheless, we don't get liberated. We need to have to come back to enjoy that reward, So that is called karma, okay? And then there is a vikarma. If you go against the Vedic injunctions, when your desires are so powerful, prabala, that you cannot resist, even at the risk of violating the Vedic injunctions, you want to do that, then that is called papa karma or sinful action. So then there is a sinful reactions. You suffer into the hellish planets, So that is called vikarma. Whereas akarma, which this book unfortunately mischaracterizes according to Bhagavad Gita's teaching, akarma, the word akarma in Sanskrit, which is opposite to karma, that means you are doing that karma as if you are not doing the karma. How? Because you are doing it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So it's a Krishna conscious activities, that is called akarma. And it has no reaction, because whatever you do for Krishna is always for the pleasure, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So how can it be bad? How can it be inauspicious? That is my question here. And this, as I read that sentence here, very clearly, without any confusion, says clearly, again I read that sentence, when one does not perform auspicious work, and akarma is listed as an inauspicious work, and it is bad, as if like vikarma or evil work. So here, that's what I said. This book appears to be in violation of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, since it lists akarma as bad and inauspicious. Okay. And so this akarma that you see here, so auspicious, according to Bhagavad Gita's teaching, both karma and akarma are auspicious. But here in this book, akarma is listed as inauspicious, like vikarma. Okay. So I shared this article with a very extensive review on this subject, karma, vikarma, akarma, a correct understanding we have to have, that I given you the link also, And in fact, I sent you, I shared with you, all of you, that article. So in accordance with the Vedic injunction, this karma is mentioned. And akarma is even superior, because that is done for the pleasure of the Lord. Remember, Yudhishthira Maharaj, who never spoke lie in his entire life, but for some reason during the wartime, Krishna forced him to speak lie. Aswathama is dead. He had to declare Narova Kunjara, but in the silently he said Narova Kunjara, because Krishna wanted to have Dronacharya to be killed, right? And Dronacharya was so powerful that was impossible. So there was an elephant that Bhima killed, whose name was also turned out to be Aswathama. And Aswathama is the name of Dronacharya's son. So when he heard Aswathama is killed, he gave up his weapons and sat down in Samadhi, and that is when he was killed. Okay. So apparently, the so-called Vedic injunctions, Yudhishthira Maharaj spoke lie. Nonetheless, he did it for Krishna, for a higher reason. He did not suffer any reaction, because he was even though apparently there was a little reaction was there, but for Krishna he did that. And there are many such examples. So whatever you do that may go against the so-called material logic, morality, but at the end of Bhagavad Gita, remember, Sanjay also says, actual dharma, actual duty is what Krishna defines. Okay, that may sometimes defy material logic, but nonetheless, it is for that. So the akarma, whatever you do for Krishna, has never any kind of reaction, unlike vikarma. Okay. or even karma, the good deeds. So that is done for the pleasure of Lord Sri Krishna. And there is no reaction, unlike karma and vikarma, since it is a Krishna conscious activity. So something which is Krishna conscious activity that you are doing for the pleasure of the Lord, how can it be classified as inauspicious and bad? It's a clear violation of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So I thought I would point out to you. So vikarma is obviously inauspicious because that is against the Vedic injunctions, and it's a bad deed with sinful reaction. The sinner will have to go to the hellish planet to suffer. Okay? Now, the three kinds of work, according to the scriptures, that consider what should and should not be done. Vedic injunctions are very clear. There is no confusion, no ambiguity about that. So one is called nitya karma, the regular activities or the eternal activities. Nemitika, which is occasionally it is done. Okay? So it is not eternal, temporary. And then there is a kamya. Kama means desire. Kamya means for the purpose of the desire, selfish desire for personal benefit, that must be avoided by all means, that we should always avoid doing selfish activities, So here, nitya karma, work that brings auspiciousness, akarma brings auspiciousness to the body, the mind, and the humanity at large. Whereas nemitika dharma, or nemitic activities, which are occasionally done, work prompted by some temporary circumstances. Okay, and that nice example that we saw in last weekend's classes, the water, the natural dharma, water that exists in the liquid form, but temporarily sometimes it exists in certain conditions, like low temperature, below freezing, then water exists as solid form, ice, right? And sometimes it's a high temperature, boiling temperature, then it is in a vapor state, gaseous stage, But that is temporary. Ultimately, it must, ice and water, the water vapor must return back to its high position, permanent position of being in the liquid state. So that's by that example, you clearly see sometimes certain activities that are performed temporarily for some specific purpose, but when that purpose is no more, then we must come to the eternal activity. So these kind of activities which are temporarily done under certain specific circumstances, these are called nemitika. Okay, and sometimes if we are not clear, even for a temporary situation, it seems like that particular activity is eternal. And that is the kind of a wrong impression, Whereas Nitya Dharma is never that kind of ambiguity is there. It's clear cut. That is always there eternally. So we must have a clear understanding. No doubt should exist. What is Nitya Dharma? What is Naimitya Dharma? In fact, the whole book is spent everything that what done for that purpose. Okay, let's take a short break. Haribol. Okay, I'm feeling much better now. The vomiting, that is now subsided now because of this lemon water I'm drinking. So we just discussed about the Nitya Dharma and Naimitya Dharma, and why Sri Vaishnadas Babaji is explaining this, because this is now he's going to this explanation is now he's going to connect it with the question of Lahiri Mahashay, and his question was, how is this Brahminical Dharma, Brahmana Dharma, is different or inferior to Vaishnava Dharma? Okay, so in that context, now he's going to explain what is the Varnashram system itself. So he's giving, he could have answered very quickly, straightforward, but why he's going roundabout? Because this basic information is very vital to understand why Varnashram Dharma is temporary, is Naimittika. Okay, even being a Brahmana, so these Brahmanas, they reside Gayatri Mantra, right? So Gayatri Mantra also can be seen simultaneously as a Naimittika Dharma as well as Nitya Dharma, because of this, because it's the semantics. You know what is semantic? In Sanskrit, what is called upachara. Sometimes in a given situation, it might be this, but not necessarily always. So we have to understand from that point of view. And that is the reason why Vaishnadas Acharya, Vaishnadas Babaji, is giving a full explanation before coming to the direct answer to the question of Lahiri Mahashraya. Okay? So now we are going to talk about this Varna Ashrama. There are 4 Varnas or prescribed duties and the 4 Ashramas. Okay, and that, as I told you before, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. It is I who have designed this 4 Varnas and Ashrama for the human society, for the betterment of that. Okay, so that is what we are going to show about. So this is what I've prepared this slide based on the explanation of this Vaishnadas Babaji. Okay, and also the author quotes the reference. So this says clearly, Varnashram system is in accordance with the natural human tendency for work. In fact, we got this body specially tailor-made for this. If you are born as a Brahmana, then because Brahmanas are classified as what? They are in the mode of goodness. Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion. Vaishyas are in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance. The Shudras are completely on the mode of ignorance. So Brahmanas are intellectual class. Okay. So here, so 4 Varnas I've described here on the left side, and the 4 Ashramas are described here. So again, I'm going to focus on the left side first, and then the right side. And this big box that you see here in the yellow, that is not part of this theme, but that is again how these 4 Varnas and Ashrama, which are actually Naimittika Dharma, temporary for this particular body, this particular lifetime. Okay, and how is Vaishnava Dharma is different. Okay, that's the reason I've showed you right here. Now, somebody might question here, may even logically question that even, isn't it, now you are saying that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or so, that based on a particular body, like look at here, this says, determined according to the birth, nature, work, and qualities. Because particular kind of body that we have gotten, that will have a particular tendency. Okay? For Brahmanas, intellectual, right? Kshatriya, then they must fight, they must kill in the war. So they must have a a great passion for that, So that's why they're in the mode of passion. Vaishyas, they are actually the farmers or business community, administrative community. They were talents to administer something, manager, become a director or something like that. So they have both partly mode of passion, because they have a passion to do their work. But at the same time, they also a part of ignorance because there's selfish interest involved in that, So that is Vaishya. And Shudra, they are the workers. Workers mean they don't have that kind of intellectual capacity in that kind of bodily form that they have taken birth. So they are simply laborers, That's called Shudras, So I'm going to talk about this left portion, and then we'll talk about the 4 ashramas. What is the fundamental principles behind that to run the human society in a coherent way, So here, so these are the 4 varnas. The 4 varnas in accordance with the natural human tendency, okay, a particular body that we have inherited, okay, and that will have a certain tendency for certain kind of work. So Brahmanas, which I told you, this is the best, okay. In so far as the context of the varnashram system, when you talk about the 4 varnas, Brahmanas no doubt is the best because they are the intellectual class. That's why it is like that. So Brahmanas are very good in studying Vedas and teaching Vedas, okay. And Kshatriya, they are the warrior class, administrative class. Warrior class. They need to fight ideally they should fight to protect those who are innocent, And then the Vaishya, there's a farming community or the administrative community. In today's world, they become managers or directors, okay? And then Shudra, they are the working class people, laborers. So here that you see, they're determined according to the birth, particular kind of birth. So they developed a particular kind of nature, characteristics, and that's dictate what kind of work they are good, okay? They have, let's see, when we apply for admission to a particular school, medical school, dental school, or so on like that, don't they ask you to take a particular test to determine what kind of activities that you are tailor-made for that, entrance exams that they give you, right? To determine that do you have a natural tendency to do this kind of work, the same way this is also like that. So they have a particular qualities given a particular kind of body senses that they inherited. So those, but here's this Babaji says very clearly that those who are freed from the influence of Maya, 3 modes of material, remember, this is based on a bodily platform. So obviously we are talking about the 3 modes of material nature. But when you go beyond that, when you become freed from that by chanting the holy name, because whenever you chant holy name, you are invoking Lord Shri Krishna. So wherever Shri Krishna, Maya cannot exist. Just like whenever there's a light, the darkness obviously cannot exist. As soon as you flip the switch, the darkness will disappear, right? Brightness and darkness, they cannot coexist at the same time. The same way here, Maya just cannot exist when Krishna is there. So when you invoke Lord Shri Krishna by chanting the holy name, associating with the sadhus, then Maya cannot exist. So when you become free from the influence of the modes of material nature, that means your body is becoming spiritualized. You still may have this body for this. It's called Jivan Mukta. So when you are spiritualized, that is my understanding, then you become Jivan Mukta, free from the 3 modes of material nature. Okay. So in that situation, when you have purified yourself, so the Maya cannot exist, cannot influence us, then this Varnashram duties, that particular person need not follow. this is the again this is based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, So then on that basis, clearly varnashram system is temporary. When something is temporary, that kind of activity, dharma is temporary, then it's called naimitika dharma. So varnashram dharma by inference, by logic, is clearly a temporary dharma, temporary activity. So in that regard, all these 4 varnas and 4 ashramas are also temporary, given to a particular kind of body. So the question might arise, isn't that in this life you become a Vaishnava? So that is also, isn't it bodily platform? No, because when you become Krishna conscious, okay, then you are on the path to become liberated. So even in the next life, you are not going to come back. Or even if you have to come back, you are in a much superior position. You are at least, at the very least, you are going to be born as human, and you'll be able to continue your quest to become Krishna conscious. So that is the reason Vaishnava Dharma is Nitya Dharma, eternal, not temporary. So these 4 varnas, so Brahmanas, so now because we are talking about Brahmanas particularly, so we will not spend, in fact, that's the reason why Vaishnav Babaji does not spend that much time in explaining Kshatriya Dharma, Shudra Dharma, Vaishya Dharma in that much great detail, but he's focusing on Brahmana first. So this was the question that was asked by this singer questioner, and now we know his name, Kalidas Lahiri. So Lahiri Mahashraya, he actually asked, we Brahmanas chant Gayatri Mantra, okay? And Gayatri Mantra is very auspicious, So how is it like that? So now he's coming back to answer that particular part of the question. So chanting of the Gayatri Mantra, depends on how we look at it. Gayatri Mantra is, of course, is auspicious in that sense. So if you consider that, then it's a Nitya Karma. Okay? But Gayatri Mantra is being chanted by Brahmana, and that Brahmana is based, now listen very carefully. This is a very fine line, because in some part of these pages, Vaishnavas Acharya, Vaishnavas Babaji says this Gayatri Mantra chanter Gayatri Mantra chanting is considered as Nitya Dharma. But in other aspect, it is not Nitya Dharma, it's Naimitika Dharma. So that is why I need you to properly understand why it is so, and how to properly understand, how to get beyond that kind of confusion. Because Gayatri Mantra, you are allowed to chant only according to Vedic injunction, not the craze going on in these days, what called Gayatri Parivar. They promote chanting of the Gayatri Mantra, everyone can chant, they said. That is not the Vedic injunction. Vedic injunction very clearly says that you must be on a Brahminical platform. And the 4 pillars of Brahminical platform is what? Satyam, Daya, Socham, what is the 4th one? So that is there, the 4 pillars. That's called Brahminical platform. But we also now learn that Brahmana, because pertaining to that particular body, if it is in a bodily platform, okay, then on that understanding, then it's not Nitya Dharma, because being a Brahmana is a temporary. So that is called, so then Gayatri chanting also, if it is based on a Brahminical birth, which is temporary, then it is Naimitika Dharma. But if you are truly Brahmana based on your guna and karma, that's when ISKCON, we don't get a second Brahminical initiation unless and until we spend at least a year or more chanting the holy name to purify ourselves, coming beyond the modes of material nature and purify yourself. Then you are given a Brahminical Diksha, and then you chant Gayatri Mantra. Then in that sense, it is Nitya Dharma. So you have to, and that's why I'm taking a long time, detailed explanation. So you must have very clear understanding why it's a semantic, how you explain. If you're Brahmana, just like other day, when remember I told you I had to attend this Brahman thread giving ceremony to a 16-year-old boy, this is what they do, particularly in South, even in Gujarat also. And this was Gujarati family. When the one who is taken a birth in a Brahmana family, at around 12 to 16, the boy, they perform this Brahman thread ceremony, just like wedding actually. They spend huge amount of money actually. But that 16-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, how can he have that kind of qualities? So that is given on a bodily platform. However, in ISKCON and such, we don't become Brahmana unless until you purify by chanting the holy name for at least a year or more. Nowadays, my Guru Maharaj did not give me second initiation until after 3 years. So you have to develop that particular qualities by serving the Lord. Then you are not on a bodily platform. You become a Brahmana and you get the right to chant Gayatri mantra, but that is not considered a Brahmanical bodily platform. But you develop a particular qualities, Krishna conscious qualities, and those qualities, 12 qualities that we are going to discuss in a moment, then you cultivate those qualities by serving the Lord, Supreme Lord. So that's why you have to understand, in some instance, when it's bodily platform, you are a Brahmana, then it is temporary, Naimitika Dharma. But if you are cultivate those qualities, then you are Nitya Dharma. Okay? So it's upachara or a semantics, how you explain that. So temporary duties, but must follow the spiritual path. So Brahmana, even on a bodily platform, they have to follow spiritual path. They have to study the Vedas, okay, and apply in their life and teach others by their own examples upon being purified by following strict rules and regulations. So Gayatri chanting, there are rules and regulations. Okay, those who take Brahman Diksha, they have to follow those rules and regulations. Otherwise, you cannot chant Gayatri mantra. If a Gayatri mantra is not supposed to be chanted in public, it has to be chanted slowly, japa, like within yourself. You cannot even speak loudly. That is the rule number 1 in chanting the Gayatri mantra. And then, of course, Saucham, purity of your body as well as soul. Both purity must be there. Even suppose if you go to bathroom, the rules dictates. If you're Brahmana and you're chanting Gayatri mantra, and if you have to go to bathroom, okay, then you have to take a bath. You have to purify yourself. Sometimes you may have to take 3-4 times a bath in the day. So that is the strict rules and regulations you must follow to properly chant Gayatri mantra. Okay? Become qualified to become associates. So now, if you follow those rules and regulations, then this Babaji says, then you become qualified to associate with the Vaishnavas, saintly Vaishnavas, and chant the holy name. So that you must do for purification. However, when a Brahmana develops a false pride, this is the warning to that particular questioner, because he was questioning that I'm Brahmana, okay, and I'm superior class. So that's a false pride, because how can you be proud of yourself when it's a temporary? So Babaji says, clearly explains, when a Brahmana develops this false pride that other souls are inferior to him, his worship of the Lord brings a horrible result. Krishna is never happy with that. So now we bring you to, so this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam verses, Canto 11, chapter 17, 15 to 21, and I don't have time to go through that. So that's what actually explains what are the duties of the Brahmanas, okay, and Kshatriyas, so all 4 Varnas. So I'll give you an example. The various occupational and social divisions of human society appear according to the inferior and superior natures manifest in the institution of individual birth. See that? Clearly based on birth. The Varnashram system. So now, what are the qualities of Brahmana? We'll see that 12 qualities, okay? But just few qualities listed in this Bhagavatam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, cleanliness, satisfaction, tolerance, simple straightforwardness, devotion to me, devotion to Krishna, mercy and truthfulness are the natural qualities of the Brahmanas. See that? Then the Kshatriyas. Dynamic power, bodily strength, determination, heroism, tolerance, generosity, great endeavor, steadiness, devotion to the Brahmanas. So Kshatriyas are supposed to help Brahmanas, support Brahmanas, their livelihood also, and leadership are the qualities of Kshatriya. Then the Vaishya's qualities. Faith in Vedic civilization, dedication to charity, freedom from hypocrisy, service to Brahmanas, and perpetually desiring to accumulate more money. So they are administrative class. Business. Business means what? Make money, self-interest. That is the Vaishyas. And then Shudras are laborers. Service without duplicity to Brahmana, cows, demigods, their worshipful personalities, complete satisfaction with whatever the income is obtained by the service are the natural qualities of the Shudras. So see that? And I'm not going to go further detail in that. So now we have understanding the four Varnas. Let's see what the Vaishnava Dharma says that. And that is what I put it here. Summary of what Babaji said to the singer. The duties of the Vaishnavas are eternal duties of the soul. That's called Nitya Dharma. When liberated from matter, material existence, the Vaishnava soul attains pure spiritual body. So they don't come back. Okay? Even in this lifetime, they become Jivan Mukta, because freedom from the modes of material nature. You don't become slave to the three modes of material nature. And with that, he engages in loving devotional service that expresses spiritual love for Lord Shri Krishna. In fact, in the previous lesson that we learned, what is the definition of being a Vaishnava? Vaishnava is the one who chants Hare Krishna. If you don't chant Hare Krishna, then you are not a Vaishnava. So he's not when you become spiritualized, freedom from the material modes of nature, then we don't have to necessarily follow this Varnashram Dharma. In fact, that Varnashram Dharma that we practice and the Vaishnava platform is called Daivi Varnashram Dharma, not based on birth. Okay, so when we get Brahminical initiation, that Brahmana is not on that bodily platform, but Daivi platform, Daivi Varnashram system. He is the friend of everyone, the best person in the world. So Vaishnavas are superior to Brahmana. In fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, not Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in fact, he was sent to defend that, why Vaishnavas are superior to even Brahmanas. Brahmanas are considered best among the four Varnas, but even superior to Brahmana is Vaishnavas, even superior to the Brahmana. So that was the direct answer to that singer's question. Okay. Now the four ashramas, very briefly. So there are four ashramas. Brahmachari, that Brahmachari is supposed to study the Vedas, right? Study. For studies, you need to strictly follow celibacy. Brahmachari ashram, not married, not engaged, associating with the women and so like that. So that is called Brahmachari, unmarried and celibate. So they need to study. Okay. And then they enter Grasta ashrama. Then you get married. Okay. According to the Vedic injunctions. Okay. And then after a period, even though you are still in Grasta ashrama, but you renounce associating with women. So you are in the family, but you are as an advisor to the family, then that's called Vanaprasthashram. Actually, Vanaprastha comes from Vana Prasthana. Prasthana means you go to forest to meditate on Shri Krishna. So, but now, even in this life, even within living in this family, even within this society, you can be renounced while still remaining in Grasta Ashrama, but as a Vanaprasthashram. As literally you mean that you are going to the forest, that we are renouncing all sense gratificatory activities. That is called vanaprasthasam. And then finally, sannyasasam, you truly renounce everything, even your own family. So sannyasas are not supposed to connect themselves with the people, personalities with whom they were there before. So that Madhavdas Babaji was committing a sin by associating secretly in the night with his former wife, and that we will see in the last theme. So this is what explained right here. So Varnashram system is temporary because it's determined by birth. It's on a bodily platform, nature of work and qualities. Okay. So now Babaji gave a general introduction. What is Varnashram system and why Varnashram system is temporary? So even if you are a Brahmana, if it is on a bodily platform, then it is Naimittika Dharma. But if you develop qualities, cultivate qualities by chanting the holy name, and then you become Brahmana, then it is called Nitya Dharma. So you have to understand, it is explained in both contexts. So what are the 12 Brahminical qualities? Truthfulness, self-control, austerity, freedom from envy, modesty, tolerance. So if you're a Brahmana, you cannot brag yourself that I am being born Brahmana, so I am the best, and the other people are just piece of dirt. That should never be there. They should be very, very humble. Tolerance, freedom from malice. This tolerance is a great example. The story Mahabharata is about Karna. So Karna wanted to accept Dronacharya as his guru. Okay. And Dronacharya had a strict rule. He would not teach anybody else who are not in the royal family, as well as who is Brahmana only. So that high quality. So Karna secretly went there. No, I think it was not Brahmana. It's not Dronacharya. Because Dronacharya, he had a fight, So he rejected it because Dronacharya did not accept him because he was born in a Shudra family, even though actual reality he was the eldest son of Kunti, Nonetheless, we will not go into that. But then he went to Parshuram. And Parshuram has a strict regulation that he would not teach anybody who is not a Brahmana. So Karna was learning from Parshurama on the false pretense. He introduced himself as a Brahmana. But what happened once? Actually, he was a Kshatriya, right? So what happened? While he was serving his guru, Lord Parshuram was resting in his lap, okay? And suddenly a huge insect came and attacked Karna's thigh. And the insect bore deeply into his thigh and was bleeding profusely. And Parshuram was resting his head in the lap of Karna and immediately woke up feeling wetness. What happened? So why you're bleeding? So Karna had to explain that this insect came. Oh my God, you tolerated that great pain? You cannot be a Brahmana. You must be a Kshatriya with that kind of strong willpower. So you came to learn from me on the false pretense. So whatever the vidya that I gave you, when the really it's needed, you will not be able to remember. So that's actually happened. When in the Mahabharata war, Karna had to fight Arjuna. At the right moment, Karna forgot the mantra that he had to recite to throw the particular arrow that could eventually kill Arjuna. He could not use that. So Krishna had given, that nice example in Brahmana. So Kshatriyas are born with great valor. The ordinary pain, bleeding, that would not affect them at all. So by nature, he was a Kshatriya, but he was acting as a Brahmana. He could not hide that thing. So that's just an example. Okay. Charity, steadiness, hearing the Vedas, observing the vows, also Brahminical platform. So now the final theme, F through G. Okay. So this Kalidas Lahari who was asking the question, he was fully convinced of his spiritual master. Okay, he formally not yet accepted, but now he's going to accept that. So he accepted Vaishnav Das Babaji as a spiritual master, and that was recommended by Premadas Babaji. Okay, so what is in his mind? Calculation went like this: three qualities that he saw in Vaishnava Acharya. Because Vaishnava Acharya, he was a born Brahmana, and he was this singer, Lahiri Mahasaya, was under the false pretense, false understanding that he was superior. So he thought only Brahmana can teach me. So at least he was a Brahmana, born Brahmana. But now he became a Vaishnava. So he can teach me Vaishnava Dharma properly. So Vaishnava Das is a born Brahmana and accepted sannyasa. Okay? So sannyasi is the best who can teach me what is Vaishnava Dharma, who is fit to teach me Brahmana like him. And he will learn much about the Vaishnava religion. So now he accepts him as a spiritual master, begs him, please accept me as your disciple if you consider me qualified enough. So Lahiri Mahasaya had now given the introduction of this Madhav Das Babaji, because Lahiri Mahasaya had rented a room, Madhav Das property. Okay? But late night, one night, he suddenly woke up, some noise he heard. And this Madhav Das Babaji, he caught him associating with a woman who happened to be his wife in the former ashrama, Rashta ashrama. But now Das Babaji is a sannyasi. He's not supposed to interact. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very strong regulations on that. In fact, this Chote Haridas, he was just simply talking with a woman on just that basis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected this Chote Haridas actually. So Madhav Das knew that example, but he was helpless. So when Lahiri Mahasaya confronted him, why you are doing this thing? So he said, I am helpless. But this, my wife is forcing me, and she comes all the time. So I have to talk to him. And obviously, if you're in the night and you're associating with a woman, God knows what you can do that, So he was violating his sannyasa dharma, and the Premadas Babaji and other very strict regulations sannyasa dharma, they knew about that, but they tolerated him out of respect, actually, But Lahiri Mahasaya immediately realized that I should not associate with this kind of personality. So I should immediately vacate this room. So he went back next morning to his guru, Vaishnav Das Babaji, and explained the situation that I don't want to have that live associate with Madhav Das Babaji. So please arrange a room for me. And that's what Vaishnav Das Acharya did, that Babaji. He arranged a room for him in the nearby cottage where Vaishnav Das Acharya Babaji himself was living. And then he arranged to have his prasadam take from a nearby village Brahmana that he could have prasadam. So that is a summary of that. I did not want to read that. So Lahiri Mahasaya too decided to avoid associating with Madhav Das Babaji. So see that you don't want to associate with those kind of personalities who do not follow rules and regulations. Otherwise, we become victim too also if the opportunity is given. Hare Krishna. So that concludes. I'm very glad that I was able to deliver the class. I was really doubtful, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So I pray to Lord Krishna, please let me complete this class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Jai Shri Prabhu. Hi, board. So it's open for discussion.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanot Pranam. Such a glorious, wonderful session, Prabhu. I don't know, how come we have missed it. I have missed it. Such a wonderful knowledge in this life. Completed 46 years. Just can't imagine, Prabhu. Such a wonderful session with the structure, with the diagrams. Just by seeing the slides, we can understand things, Prabhu.
Thank you
Really
so
great,
much.
Prabhu. Mesmerizing, Prabhu.
It's all solved by Krishna. He's doing everything.
I just have one question, Prabhu. Like you talked about second initiation. Okay. I have a question towards on the Gayatri Mantra, Prabhu. Like I am chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Before that, okay, just before marriage, I had that ceremony and then I got the Gayatri Mantra, Prabhu. But I was not reading it or I was not doing that. So it was completely stopped. But fortunately, I got connected to the devotees like you and started chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. Okay. So now, Prabhu, do you suggest to restart that Gayatri after chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra?
Strictly speaking, Prabhuji, Gayatri Mantra has to be given by a guru.
It is being given by Guru only, Prabhu, for me. My father
Guru
and Guru
means,
has given. Yeah.
Yeah, then you are qualified. So you are Brahmana, by
Not
cultivating
Brahmana.
this
I am
quality.
not in a Brahmana community, Prabhu, but still I got that. Vaishya
But
community.
you are initiated.
that.
What is your initiated name then, Prabhuji?
It is not initiated, Prabhu. Just before marriage, we have a thread ceremony. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Samskara.
No, I know.
But
Just like
I just married, but I have not read the Gayatri.
yeah,
Mantra.
I just attended last week such an open ceremony, which is given on a bodily platform because you are born in a Brahmana family. But according to Vedic injunction, strictly speaking, the rules and regulations are very strict. Gayatri Mantra has to be given by a spiritual master only after. Well, now you have been chanting Hare Krishna, so I'm sure you are qualified. But strictly speaking, correct me, Sarath Prabhuji, if I am wrong. You may shed more light on that. But strictly speaking, you need to be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, isn't it? Not by this Upanayana ceremony performed just because you are born in a Brahmana family,
Yeah.
The Prabhuji is chanting Hare Krishna. So he in my mind, he is called, but I think the mantra, Gayatri Mantra must be given by a spiritual master. Sarath Prabhuji, can you say something about it?
Yes, you are very correct. But what is the system of the Smarta Brahmanas, that is Brahmanas who were born in the Brahmana caste, during the thread ceremony, they are also given. But as rightly you said, since they have not developed these qualities, they should not chant the Gayatri Mantra. It should come from the Guru. There is no doubt about it. And another thing, very interestingly, recently I found in Braha Purana and Garuda Purana, who are those Brahmanas in the age of Kali? In the age of Kali, those Smartha Brahmanas, that is the caste Brahmanas, it says in these two Puranas that in the other yugas, they used to be demons and they take birth as Brahmanas in the age of Kali. But we are talking of the Brahmanas in the Vaishnava line. That means first you become a Brahmana, then you become a Vaishnava. First you become a Brahmana means you develop the Brahmanical qualities. Then you become a Vaishnava, and you have to get this mantra from the spiritual master. This is what is in the Vaishnava tradition. And what we learn in the Smartha tradition, that is not very correct. That is not correct at all. Like you see the thread ceremony. Nowadays, this is being done only in the Brahmanas families. I will say so-called Brahmanas. But as per the Vedic injunctions, it should be done for Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, except the Sudras. Everybody should be there. But over a period of time, they have been discontinued. And you will see in this Kali Yuga, after some time, this even Smartha Brahmanas, they will also not follow this procedure because these are Naiyatika dharmas.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. But in South India, I understand, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
The boy is given a Brahminical diksha,
Yes. Prabhu.
given a Gayatri mantra,
Yes,
and they have a guru. But really, in the sense that we are talking, that is not the kind of guru that we are talking about, you know.
Yes.
So, and South India, they even a young age boy is given a diksha by a guru, but
Yes.
the boy is not even in a situation to understand anything about that. So that's
Yes.
not the proper.
Yes.
So Prasad Prabhu, when you say that you received this mantra from a guru, but that's not the kind of guru that we are talking about.
Correct,
Yes.
correct, Prabhu. I understood the flow now. Yeah. There is a
Because
difference. There is a
because
difference.
our guru has to be in the disciplic succession.
Sibling succession. Yeah, that is not what happened for us, for me at least. So
Thank
it
you,
just
but
happened.
you've
in
been chanting,
Ramanujan-
so you're on the path actually.
Yeah.
When you accept a bona fide guru and take a diksha, and then he will ask you to chant Hare Krishna. And when you tell him that you've been chanting for long, I had been chanting for 10 years, you know. But even my Guru Maharaj, even first diksha, Harinam diksha also, he gave me after a long time. In fact, the book I wrote,
Yes.
just to convince him for my qualification. Even then, he had me wait for 3 years to give Harinam Diksha. Then another 3 years, no, 4 years, it took me to give me Brahminical Diksha actually. No? So that is the kind of bona fide guru we are talking about.
Got it, bro. I understood very clearly.
Hare
You know.
Krishna.
Yeah, I had always this confusion. Now it is clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any
Hare
other
Krishna.
question, comments?
Dandavad
Satyadasa Prabhuji, Haribol.
Just carry
Dhanavad
on.
Pranam Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam.
Quick question, Prabhu. I was reading one of the statement where you are mentioning if one is freed from Maya, one does not need to follow the Varnashrama Dharma. But as sadhakas, we are still not.
They
crossed
follow
stage.
Varnashram Dharma, that's called Daivi Varnashram Dharma, not based on birth.
Okay. So, but as sadhakas, when we have still not reached the stage of or crossed the Maya stage, because we still have the anarthas, in that stage, are we obligated to follow the Varnashrama Dharma or no?
It's again, your spiritual master has to give you that. Okay? The spiritual master should okay it. Again, Sharad Prabhuji, I'll ask you to correct me.
Yes, Prabhuji. Like what Prabhupada says, even what is being propagated here in the ISKCON, we have to follow the Varnashrama Dharma, that is the Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. There is no doubt about it.
Okay.
It has to be followed.
Understood.
So there also, in a temple, we have people who give classes, who have given that abilities, they give classes. So they're like Brahmanas. And Kshatriyas means those who are temple commanders, managers, temple presidents, they are like Vaishyas, you know. So like that. So we follow, but in the sense of being a Daivi Varnashram Dharma, not based on birth. You have to cultivate those qualities for that. And because you are born in a body, you have those natural qualities, but that need to be cultivated by serving the spiritual master, and spiritual master who gives those duties to you.
Understood. So, Prabhu, in today's world and even various books and context also, I see Varnashrama Dharma is actually Krishna, as per the Bhagavad Gita says, it's guna karma, not by birth. But
yeah, exactly.
But in many contexts, even when I was reading the books of Prabhupada, also sometimes the Varnashrama and the caste system are getting mixed up. In the sense, like, because when there is a topic of caste coming, for example, the Karna or some other caste, Dronacharya or some other, many topics when I come up, I see caste system and Varnashrama are getting mixed up, Prabhu. I've seen many times.
That's why in Jaiva Dharma, now we are just this is a beginning to see in terms of caste and what ought to be done. In fact, there's a whole chapter on that caste, you know. They're going to learn a lot more about it. More about it.
Understand, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually addresses that issue also.
Yeah.
That caste system is an artificial system, not really the desirable system.
Okay. Prabhu, if I can ask one more related question. Because every birth, which, for example, let's say this birth I am born in a Hindu family, by Krishna's mercy, we are doing some chanting and all. Let's say, just hypothetically, if we are born again next life in a Muslim family or a Christian family, then if by Krishna's mercy, if we get connected again, is fine. But otherwise, we tend to follow that Islam or Christianity as per how parents suggest we go to church or we go to mosque and follow those procedures and kind of thing. So then they're all what, Prabhu? They're all bodily related based on every life.
Okay. That's in fact that issue we discussed in the last weekend classes also, and we are going to come across more about that.
Okay.
So that in the last weekend class, what we learned that all these religions, so-called religions, there's only one religion, Vaishnava religion. Vaishnava religion means not sake of Vaishnava. Vaishnava means one who chant the holy name. So even if you are Christian or a Muslim or whatever religion, if you develop the love for God, which all religions basically say that.
Correct.
So they are actually in Vaishnava Dharma, in fact. But properly they must follow that rules and regulations in that whatever the religion. Prabhupada also said that same thing. We don't criticize Islam, we don't criticize Christianity, don't criticize any other dharma, as long as they are following the basic duty of being in that religion, develop love for God and don't kill just for you. So thou shalt not kill is the order given by Jesus Christ. But no, Christians are eating meat. They're committing violence. Prabhupada is to criticize that. Thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, they are interpreting that only for humans.
Yeah.
You should not kill a human, but you are allowed to kill an animal. That's how they interpret it, and they are eating.
So it is a wrong interpretation.
Understand, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Even in Mahabharata, it is written that we should not criticize anybody else's religion. That means whether somebody is a Christian or a Muslim, we should never criticize them. But more things are coming up here in Jaiva Dharma. You learn
whole chapter is going to be there.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Radha Vinod Prabhuji, you are silent. Please.
No, Prabhuji, I'm fine, thank you.
You seem to be tired today, like me. Go ahead, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, trying to understand you, Prabhuji.
Okay, all right, thank you. And rest of you, all of you also, please, I keep on encouraging you, all of you, please learn. In fact, the next lesson tomorrow, lesson 6, is the most important lesson. In fact, I'm still in the process of making the PowerPoints. So the rest of the afternoon, I'm going to spend that, so I should be able to share with you, But that lesson is so important. So many pertinent questions being asked by Lahiri Mahasaya to Vaishnadas Babaji. So you learn the art of asking pertinent questions, probing questions for the sake of learning. And Lahiri Mahasaya is teaching by his own example how to come up with such probing questions. Series of questions he asked. In fact, the entire lesson is questioned in the question and answer format. In fact, the entire book is explained by question and answer format. So the rest of you who are too silent, and I understand, because many of us are introverts. We feel shy to ask questions. But I encourage you, you are within your own family members. We are all family members. So please feel free. Question can never be stupid. The answer can be stupid. Whatever the question you want to ask, question can never be stupid. But the person who gives answer at times could be a stupid answer, I will try my best not to give a stupid answer, because whatever I speak based on what I read and study, my understanding, okay? And that's why I make doubly sure with other learned personalities, Sharad Prabhuji, to make sure whatever I say is right or not. So you notice me, every now and then I refer to him also, So please try your best to come up with questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
So wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, मैं ये समझी हूँ कि जो नैमितिक धर्म है और नित्य धर्म है और वर्णाश्रम धर्म, So whatever is done for bodily level, it is nematic dharma, temporary.
Yes, correct.
और
You are right,
whatever is
understand.
done for Lord service is a nitya dharma.
Yes.
मगर अगर
You got
हम वर्णाश्रम में भी है, अगर हम ब्राह्मण है कि क्षत्रिय है, मगर हम अगर कोई भी ड्यूटी भगवान के लिए जो करते हैं तो वो नित्य होती है.
And that's
Right,
akarma, that is the reason akarma is nitya dharma.
हाँ, अकर्मा is a nitya dharma. Okay, Prabhuji.
So
Yeah, you have
Prabhuji,
correct understanding. Thank you.
Prabhuji, connecting to what Mataji asked, see, now we do a job. We have a day job to do in the morning to evening. We do it every day. So, and there are so many activities we also do to take care of the family, taking children to school or whatever it may be. There are several activities. So how do we classify all those activities, Prabhu? They are all body related, so they're Laibitika?
See, it's like, I'll give one example. We are being told that don't associate with non-devotees, right?
Yeah.
But for our work, we have to associate. But that is called not intimate association. Intimate association means,
What is the
there are
word
6 called.
What is the word used, Prabhu? What is the word used?
Intimate association.
Intimate. Okay.
We don't develop a close association, and how the close association is defined is given by that verse. I think it's in Net of Instruction, right? There are 6 qualities, right?
Yeah.
You invite for guests like that. You only with the close personalities you associate in that 6 ways you can do give and take like that. But office we do just for that, not intimacy but associate, but your heart is not in it, So that is the way you do it, So that answer that the questions you asked, this particular guideline applies in all respect. Again, Sharat Prabhuji, you may elaborate this answer.
Okay, Prabhuji is asking, we do the service like, say, somebody is in a software job, somebody is this job, that job. Prabhuji is asking whether that is karma, vikarma or akarma. Now, it is not karma because karma is, you have to follow the Vedic injunctions. It is not there. It is not akarma because that is not for the Supreme Lord. That then comes to automatically it is vikarma only. But this vikarma also we can connect to the Supreme Lord. We can spend that energy, the resources we are getting, money we are getting for the Supreme Lord, and think of him always. Because like you see, if we do not serve, if we do not earn money, that is actually the job of the Grihastha. Because as per the Vedic system, the Grihastha is supposed to support the other 3. That is the brahmachari, the vanaprastha and the sannyasa. You have to earn money, but it has to be connected to Krishna. Otherwise, it becomes a vikarma.
So in that regard, it is also a karma also in a sense. If you work with that kind of consciousness, then it is also part of a karma. Means you are working for the Lord. You are spending part of your income to support Krishna conscious activities, giving to a temple like 10% of income and things like that, and supporting those who are needy like that. So it becomes a karma for the pleasure of the Lord. If you are doing in that consciousness, then it is a karma. That is a desirable karma, and with no reaction. But that does not give you the license. If your boss says something doing adharma, that does not give license. In the name of Krishna, you kill someone, So you have to properly understand, interpret, right?
So it's all based on the consciousness with which we work.
With what consciousness you're doing, exactly.
And how you are offering the results of the work, how we are offering to Krishna.
Yeah.
Those two matters.
And then also you pray to the Lord, Lord, please, if unconsciously, if I am forced to do certain things, please forgive me and guide me properly. A long time back, many years back, before I started this online teaching, I used to conduct these Bhakti Shastri courses in class, in person, okay? So one of the person who asked the question, such a simple, same topic was going on, So he said that, I am engaged. I've inherited this wine shop, and this is my business. This is my living. Okay, this is how I support my family. You know, so what should I do that? So again, I quoted Prabhupada's teachings. Prabhupada also said that sometimes you are in a bad profession, helplessly you are doing that, but you are praying to the Lord, Lord, please help me get off this kind of adharmic activity, adharmic business. And slowly and certainly that happens. Krishna will correct you that. But don't do it in that consciousness, oh, I'm doing it for my livelihood. So what if I'm engaged in selling wine or selling meat? One of my relative actually, he owns this subway, subway stops. They are fast food, you know. So they of course they make sandwiches of beef and things like that, and he's doing that. So now he's making money for that, obviously, you know. But then I always teach him that. I teach him means whatever I learn from Shastra, what Prabhupada says that you should feel sorry for that you are not doing right, but you are being by your karma or whatever it is, you're being placed in that kind of situation, and you are very, very repentant, you're feeling sorry for that, then Lord will make sure. And that's what exactly that happened when I gave him that lesson. After a few months, 6 months down the line, actually sold that shop and went into the business that he liked that. So when your consciousness is pure, then Krishna will take you out from that kind of activities automatically. But you ought to be repentant, even though you're making money, but this is not the way to make that kind of money, you know, that kind of living. Again, Sharad Prabhuji can say more about it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
So same way,
Prabhuji,
Raksha
कोई भी
Mati is asking, I
कार्य
know what she's asking. I know what you're asking. Sometimes in a
प्रभु मेरा
family
क्वेश्चन नहीं
situation,
था
in
मेरा
a family situation
अंडरस्टैंडिंग
also.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी मेरा क्वेश्चन नहीं था मेरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग बता रही थी कि ये बराबर है कि नहीं ऐसा तो प्रभु जी मतलब हम जो भी एक्टिविटी करते हैं वो उसका सेंटर कृष्णा होना चाहिए तो सब सारी एक्टिविटीज को हमें स्पिरिचुअलाइज करना सीखना चाहिए
Exactly. But then you got it the right, but exactly right way to take it there. With you have to do it in a proper consciousness, you know. Then Krishna will help you. Krishna will help you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay,
Hare
it's
Krishna.
Sharad Prabhuji, only 5 minutes remaining, but I gave you the opportunity to speak. So please, last few words is yours.
Just I will repeat to understand these words: nitya karma, naimittika karma, kamya karma, prayashchita karma, vihita karma, like this. I'll give some examples only. Like in some of many of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, except ISKCON, they practice the sandhyas, that is morning, afternoon, and evening, and they practice it very, very religiously. And there are some people who criticize ISKCON because there is no such practice. That is a naimittika dharma. That is not a nitya dharma at all. Then what is naimittika dharma? Like you know many of them. I will give one example. Like say in a solar eclipse, people take bath in holy rivers. Like that is one. Then giving charity. These are all naimittika karma. Then kamya karma. Kamya karma, if somebody does that, then he earns punya, but no sin is earned if not done. Like say the performing Aswamedha Yajna, Rajasuya Yajna, though these two, they are not authorized in Kali Yuga. Then say reading Bhagavatam, then rituals, various rituals done. They come in the category of kamya karma, But reading Bhagavatam for anything else, that will also come in Nitya Karma also, but this will also come in Kamya Karma. Then Vihita Karma or Nisiddha Karma, or those prohibited by scriptures, that we have already seen. There is another point we learned, that natural human tendency to work, that should be followed. But why there is a turmoil in the society, like what is happening? A Brahmana is supposed to do Brahmana job. A Kshatriya is supposed to do Kshatriya job, like this. Like suppose a Sudra who does not have a tendency to do that work, but by giving some reservation, you appoint him in that job, he cannot do that job to the satisfaction of anybody, or what is expected out of him. And this is actually the main reason why the turmoil in the society, because everybody wants to be the Brahmana or the highest category without having that qualification. There is actually no difference between a Brahmana and the Sudra. And if you see, the Sudra is most fortunate, because by doing the least amount of job, he can reach the Godhead. It is very, very easy for him. These things we at times do not understand. Then regarding the things that Brahmana is superior in the society as far as status is concerned, but this is for the Smartha Brahmanas, the Brahmanas who are in the caste system. We have to understand that what Brahmana we are talking, he has to have those 12 qualities. He has to develop that those 12 qualities. And the Vaishnavas, they are still in higher position than them. Then you will ask me, in the society for doing various the things, we require the help of the Brahmanas. They are the professional Brahmanas. You ask them to do any worship at home, they will come, they will do the job, whether you worship Krishna or worship Shiva or the goddess Kali or the Durga or anybody. They are the Smartha Brahmanas. They are not the Brahmanas we are talking about. They do not have these qualities. But another thing we have to understand, that we have to respect everybody, including the Brahmanas, because they are praised in all the scriptures. That's why we should take everybody as superior. We should take everybody as a Brahmana or a Vaishnava and respect them. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the time is up actually.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you all of you also. And don't forget, tomorrow's lesson is extremely important. You will learn the art of coming up with some probing questions, from Lahiri Bhasha's example, okay? So, I will request either Raksha Mataji or Samata Mataji to conclude the class with Nishima prayer. Samata Mataji, are you there?
Samta Mataji,
Yeah.
please do.
Hi. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Radha-radha-radha-daine. Radha-radha-radha-daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Nito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Nito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Bahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. बाह्ये नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नखम् अद्भुतशृङ्गम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरे नखम् अद्भुतशृङ्गम् ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरे कृष्ण प्रभु धन्यवाद।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Samata Mataji, and thank you all of you for your patience and time. So I look forward to see you tomorrow. Please don't miss this tomorrow's lesson, okay? Very important lesson. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada, all good Srila Prabhupada, all good Srimad Bhagavatam, all good the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all good all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna Prabhu
Take rest and take care. Take care.
Pranam, Chandra Bhai. Take care of your health.
To all devotees, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you. Hare Bol.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Prabhu, Sharad Prabhu, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you, Prasad Prabhuji. Thank you.